Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, Transformers fans everywhere, welcome back. LPS, Last Prime Speculator, here to bring you another speculation as always. Yeah, I kind of said I was done with the last night's speculations, but what the hell, right? This is probably the one I'm getting addressed most in my comment section. And I feel like it needs to be addressed. I'm going to give you guys a couple of speculations, and thank you so much for enjoying my speculations, guys. I'm already getting asked about Bumblebee speculations. We're still in the last night, so let's stick with the last night, guys. The one that is being most talked about in my comic section and also what I'm seeing on social media is the Galvatron and Megatron connection. How did Galvatron become Megatron? I'm here to give you guys a couple of speculations of what could have transpired in those events to make Galvatron from Age of Extinction become Megatron and Transformers the Last Night. So let's get right to it. Subs, I know I kind of touched on this subject before that have been with me since the beginning. We're going to take care of the newcomers and everything, kind of catch them up to date and everything. And then all the rest of the speculations are going to be fresh, brand new, okay? So before this movie came out, I was a believer that possibly KSI and Galvatron had something important possibly in this movie. Before this movie came out, I had a theory, and I'm going to kind of touch base on this theory, kind of go backtrack again, is that Galvatron was Megatron. Megatron was created through the brain to become Galvatron. Okay, so if you guys recall, we had Megatron's brain and head became Galvatron. They were using the technology off of Megatron's head to create Transformium, to create their own Transformers, right? We came to find out that Megatron had infected the whole KSI system, right? And then obviously we kind of know what transpired in Age of Extinction, right? My first theory and what I first thought before the movie came out again is that Megatron possibly used the technology, the human technology, to go back in time to recreate himself. And hear me out. Basically, humans creating Transformers were killing Transformers. It's a very sinful event, right? They were running low out of the metal. They needed their Cybertronian metal to make their own prototypes, right? And it was all done through the brain of Galvatron again. Now, being that the internet, you can search anything, right? You can search anything. The World Wide Web is absolutely huge. I mean, look what we got in our community, right? Because of the World Wide Web. These are Transformers. These are alien Cybertronians that are far more advanced than the humans, right? I've always thought that there could have been a possibility that Megatron could have literally used the KSI technology that was created by the humans to use our own technology. Let's use the internet as an example, to go back in time to recreate himself. Possibly in this night form we see, maybe in Beast Era. I've always been a believer that, obviously we know dinosaurs were the Earth at one point here on Earth. Why not in Cybertron? Actually, there's comics, the app for instance, the Beast and Barbarians were actually the first Cybertronians created on Cybertron, right? Other than the 13, of course, right? After the battle. But this was the time where I think Galvatron used our internet, our technology, our sins, with his Cybertronian powers to go back in time and go into that current event. Possibly in his pre-Transformer mode, right? I've also been a speculator that possibly he was an Autobot one day, right? And that back in the day of this new live-action universe era, he possibly was an Autobot, because we know Megatron was a knight. They didn't touch on it in this movie, but the very first production teaser trailer, on one side of the forehead, the one where he's breathing beastly, where we first saw him, one says knight, the other side says Megatron. That possibly, what if Megatron was actually the leader of, let's say, the Dinobots back in the day? And maybe Optimus was actually the enemy before being reformatted, recreated. That was one of my first theories back in the day, is that he used our technology to go back in time to recreate himself back as the original Megatron in this live-action universe, okay? Now, thank you, subs, for being patient with me. Now, let's move on, okay? Transformers 2, Transformers 3, and Transformers 4. Other than the very first one, let's be honest, Megatron has not been the Megatron that we've all really wanted, right? I'm an Autobot all day. I love Optimus, but at the end of the day, Megatron has been a cupcake compared to Optimus Prime. Prime has literally owned Megatron. Megatron is no joke, but up until pretty much this movie, Megatron has never really had his moment. He has been literally just destroyed by Optimus Prime. That possibly, what if Megatron crash landed on Earth, okay? When he crash landed, what if he was actually sent at this time by Quintessa, okay? Where I'm getting at is that there could have been a time with Quintessa that she made a deal with Megatron, because we know Unicron is now Earth. Spoiler alert, I apologize if you haven't seen the movie, but yes, Unicron is Earth, where she literally sent Megatron to go to Earth to get her Allspark, right? And where I'm getting at is Transformers 2, 3, and 4, I guess, Galvatron, but let's just say overall, we know he hasn't been that Megatron we know. That what if that was possibly this whole event, his trial of redemption? You got to think about this. He died in the first one. He was pretty rowdy. He wasn't as rowdy as he should have been. The second one, he was basically a puppet to the Fallen. The third one, he was Sentinel's puppet, and Sentinel is a Prime, a former Autobot. He was taking orders from them. Megatron would never do that. And obviously, he's lost every single fight. He's died multiple times, usually by the hands of his brother, Optimus Prime. That literally these live-action universe before the last night could have been his trial of redemption to basically that old Megatron body that we saw in those movies was not actually his correct body, okay? Now, let's tie in again with KSI. Let's talk about what we just talked about with the internet. It is very, very possible that when he inherited the KSI technology, right, that being, again, that they are Cybertronian, and let's say Quintessa really is his maker, that in some way, Megatron actually made contact with Quintessa, right? We saw at the very end she was also a human, right? Human technology. She's the maker of the Transformers. She claimed himself that she possibly could have manipulated the human technology and contacted Megatron directly, aka Galvatron in Transformers Age of Extinction, and basically made a deal, made some kind of negotiation for him to retrieve Optimus after Lockdown's failure. At the end of the day, if she is the maker, she created Megatron 2, okay? Again, this is a speculation channel. Now, being that Megatron, for some reason, no matter what happens, always survives. Obviously, he does not fear death. He always comes back, where literally he could have made a deal with the devil, knowing that possibly, at the end of the day, I'm going to come back anyway. We still don't know Quintessa's intentions, but we know Unicron is now in the picture, right? Now, it could also have been that she granted him immunity after, let's say, his trial of redemptions, right? Megatron said something that was very unique to me in this movie. And when he said, we were brothers once, he was acknowledging him and Optimus, that their connection back in the day were literally that being that, let's say, the maker created them in some sort of way. The red paint was never touched on, but literally they are connected. That she literally needed Megatron to maybe use the KSI technology, use his actual knowledge, maybe his burst Cybertronian, to literally figure out the way to control Optimus. Because I've also done videos where possibly Optimus Prime was not Optimus Prime at one point. He could have been Orion Pax, for instance. Where being that Optimus is now a Prime, the best way for Quintessa to control Optimus, she would need literally his brother, his blood, his DNA in a way, knowing what she's dealing with now as a Prime. She referred to herself as the Prime of Life. Also could be manipulation as well, but we know one thing, she's damn powerful, right? And let's talk about Beast Era, okay? Let's see that let's say that Megatron's form right now currently is actually his real form in the live action universe, right? And let's pretend, let's be open-minded, again, this is a speculation channel, where Optimus Prime could have literally been born second. Now, if you recall, Quintessa also said something that was very intriguing to me. She referred to Optimus Prime as her perfect creation. Now, let's go back to what I just said. What if Megatron was the first idea of what she wanted to build that is now Optimus Prime? In a way, kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but you know what I'm talking about. The two sisters, like a Thanos type, right? Where Megatron was the first idea of what she wanted to create. We've seen his failures throughout these movies, and then she created Optimus after Megatron. Basically, she figured out the incorrection of her own creations. And that's another reason why the trials of redemption for Megatron in these movies has been, in my opinion, so significant, right? That Megatron always loses to Optimus. What if he was the first one, and Optimus Prime is actually the 1A of the creation of Quintessa's perfect creation? So she analyzed everything in the tier and then created Optimus Prime, maybe Orion Pax. But you kind of get where I'm getting at. That basically she got the bugs out of her creation and then created Optimus. Megatron has always lost. You know what I'm saying? That could have been something that you got to think of a maker or creator's evil thought to take over the world. If she's going against Unicron, she knows what Unicron's power is, right? Down this road, Megatron always, no matter what, falls to Optimus most of the time. With respect, of course. I'm an Autobot all day, but I love Megatron, right? Let's talk about after Age of Extinction, when Optimus flies out into space, right? We sense him in this sleep mode, right? Where we don't know what happened in this little gap. I think they acknowledged it was about a 3-year gap where Cade was on Earth with the Autobots. Optimus told that protect this family, Autobots down here, while he goes and meets his creators, right? When he went in this sleep mode, being again, you could use the KSI technology, right? And also the brothers in arms in a way, in connection, the Megatron and Optimus connection, that they are connected. That possibly when Prime was in his little sleep mode, maybe Megatron was able to use the human technology plus the Cybertronian technology to literally track Optimus Prime. He did also fly up with the Seed, which was disappeared in this movie too, where literally Optimus was a living tracker for Quintessa, where he just went into sleep mode and guided in slowly. Megatron could have influenced the technology to make it happen for Quintessa, right? Where also Megatron, again, being a Autobot back in the day, right, is that at the end of the day, he was created by the humans. Let's say him being an Autobot in Beast Era with the form he has in Transformers The Last Night, Quintessa, with all his failures that he's done, you have two choices, Megatron or Galvatron. Either you can keep this human form, created body that you have by the humans, which we all know how Megatron feels about the humans, or I make you back to what you used to be, and that is an Autobot. But I make you a knight. I will give you a knight power. I'm not making you a prime. I'm making you a knight. So you choose one devil or the other devil. At the end of the day, a human-created Transformer or Megatron back in his normal time as a knight, I think that's an easy negotiation. I'd probably take the knight. I'm sure Megatron would too, right? And that could also explain why he was also willing to negotiate with the humans, because at the end of the day, he wants to save his home too. Megatron's results aren't good, but at the end of the day, all he wants to do is save Cybertron at all costs. He also wants to be the Lord and everything, but Quintessa might be his maker, might not, but at the end of the day, we all know who the end game is, who they acknowledge, again, is Unicron, right? Now, it's literally was making a deal with the devil, right? Now, this could also be how Quintessa manipulated him. She could have literally told him and witnessed that, listen, Earth, what you want to destroy, is literally at its wit's end. And it reveals what Quintessa revealed to Optimus as Unicron. Unicron, the dark ancient lord of Cybertron. At the end of the day, throughout Transformers lore, it does not matter. Megatron would always side with Optimus to defeat Unicron. And any single lore you know, other than, obviously, there's a couple of comics, but 90% of the time, Megatron and Optimus will always team up to defeat Unicron, because Unicron is the endgame. And at the end of the day, Megatron cannot be the dominant force he wants to be with Unicron in the picture. He wants to be the guy sitting on the realm, and with Unicron, you ain't sitting on the realm. And you need a Prime to defeat evil, right? He also could have been hoping, let's say this negotiation went down, right? He wants Optimus dead. I mean, at the end of the day, Optimus has just owned him, and their rivalry between the Autobots and the Decepticons predates Earth's existence. They've been battling on Cybertron, the Civil War, where literally he could have thought, okay, Optimus being under control and being the hero that we love would sacrifice himself at all costs and kill himself, where Megatron could also rise into power. And this deal could also have been so good for Megatron that Prime's out of the picture, right? Earth is Unicron. That's destroyed. And maybe he'd be able to one-up Quintessa and then claim the realm and rebuild Cybertron and claim himself as the Lord of, let's say, the Lord of Chaos. I know, I obviously know Unicron is Lord of Chaos, but you get what I'm getting at, right? Now, it could have, I'll give you another speculation. We'll just go back to Age of Extinction, okay? When he was Galvatron, okay? Let's say we know about the night ship when Lockdown captured Optimus. He captured all the Knights but Optimus. This used to be his ship that he traveled in the galaxies. In Transformers, The Last Knight, they referred to this night ship as now the Autobot ship, right? When Optimus, before releasing the Dinobots, he went in and grabbed his sword. Now, he, in my opinion, changed into his knight form. His arms changed, a little more chest build. He still had the same appearance, but when he grabbed the sword, he took a knight form. He transformed. It also could have been, the Knights Temenos was said to withhold great power. That Megatron, or Galvatron, I should say, went back to that crash-landed ship in China. They didn't touch on it. There's a 3-year gap, where he grabbed his hammer and took form, his old beast mode. Or that also could have been where he became a knight. He wasn't supposed to be a knight. He grabbed an ancient power off the Knights Temenos, which Prime also said that this ship was infected. It locked down his hatred, disgraced it, where he was able to, again, use the human technology of Galvatron, grab this sword, and become a knight and take that was literally his transformation. That was his knight form, where he became a knight and also could have gained that beast armor from a treasure weapon of lockdown ship, right? This is the one I really wanted to get to, is that let's say that Megatron actually did make a deal with Unicron. It's happened in all the lores before, right? Now hear me out. In Transformers Age of Extinction, when Lennox was sitting with his general, they were taking pictures of these 6 horns all over the world, right? And at almost every location, I'm almost positive, Megatron was always seen present with these horns, right? In my opinion, Earth could actually be the head of Unicron, and his body parts are scattered out throughout the universe, right? Almost like a crown in a way, but Megatron was always present. The military had documents of Megatron being present with these horns, where it could be 2 things. Megatron could have literally made a deal with Unicron, kind of like G1, the original G1, right? Where he gave him a new body, a new army for him to basically screw over the human race, screw over Quintessa, and get off of that hate, that infection Galvatron body. Literally reborn, and taught him how to possibly, 1, be able to stop Prime, 2, possibly stop Quintessa, and he would become more powerful. In a way, he would become Optimus's equal, even better, possibly, right? So, when let's say Unicron and Megatron are negotiating this deal, at the end of the day, it also could have been that, let's say, if you remember in Revenge of the Fallen, if Unicron is in Earth, his body was literally sunken to the bottom of the ocean. If Unicron actually is in this franchise, because I think this movie is a giant cliffhanger, there could have been communication made in that movie, right? Where Unicron being a god, and again, Transformers Prime for the example, when Megatron died, he was able to talk to Unicron because he inherited the Dark Energon. Where literally everything could have been set up for this reason. We know that in Dark of the Moon, Cybertron was coming to Earth. Sentinel was trying to bring Cybertron to Earth. If you are a fan or if you're not familiar with Transformers lore, Cybertron is Primus. Primus and Unicron were created off the one. Unicron was created first, and then Primus was created second as basically split them up. And then they fought in the galaxies. Then Primus created the 13. They couldn't defeat him, so basically Primus became Cybertron to lock Unicron into Cybertron, which he'd end up escaping. It could have been his head that's now in Earth, but his body parts could be scattered all over the universe, right? Where that he told Megatron basically, if you're going to struggle throughout this live action universe, but I know Optimus is going to destroy Cybertron, which he did by destroying the pillars in Transformers Dark of the Moon. Quintessa brought Cybertron back, but she was planning on using the staff to inherit Unicron's power to restore Cybertron, or that's what she told Optimus. We still don't really know Quintessa's true purpose. Where literally, this whole thing, again, was about manipulation. Now, this could also have all taken place, like I said, in the water, or the one thing that I really was hoping that they were going to touch on, because I've always been a believer that Unicron was in this movie. Again, guys, we got that one right, is that Stonehenge. Stonehenge is the heart and soul of Unicron. I don't know if you guys saw, there was a concept art leak out that I remember where Galvatron was on top of one of the stones in Stonehenge, where it was a concept. But here's where I'm getting at, right? I can't find it on the internet either. So if you could find it, feel free to send it to me. I would love to have that and be able to speculate for you even more. Where literally that could have been the actual communication of the negotiation between Unicron and Megatron. Here is your new body. I am alive. I am awakened. They talked about how the horns were rising. Anthony Hopkins described it. This is when you know the Earth was coming to an end, that Unicron was rising. Where Megatron could have literally got that body from Stonehenge. That is basically the heart of Unicron, the spark to ignite. Unicron, being a god, no matter what happens, can still live out through the universe. He can't move, he can't attack, but that soul, that presence is still there. Where literally the negotiations have happened, right? And I personally thought in this movie that they were going to tie in on Megatron and Optimus Prime's origins. They really didn't, but if I recall, when they made this big writers team, is that they were going to touch on that in the future. I'm starting to think that Transformers 6 is actually the real story of the Megatron and Optimus Prime story, the brother connection, where literally they almost put their own ties of the G1 movie. And that's why the red paint and the Megatron story was not touched on, because that could be the future film coming up, again, all tiled in to Unicron. So there you guys go, man. I hope you guys enjoyed that speculation. I wanted to make sure I talked about this. This has been very popular on my channel as well as social media. If you're not familiar with this channel, we dig deep in the lore of Transformers. I keep talking about my next video. The reason why I want you guys to send these questions in is because we all know LPS is a diehard Transformers fan, particularly a diehard Optimus fan. My fiance, who's going to be doing the real review for me, is not a Transformers fan. I want to do a review on somebody who is not a Transformers fan. You're going to meet Lindsay. Please ask her some questions. I'm going to display it just like this. Sonny, this is a shout out for you. He's been begging for me to do this video exactly like this. I'm covering the question though, but if you look right down there, this is how your name. You're going to have your name advertised. But the reason why this is so important to me is because, again, this movie has taken a lot of heat and a lot of negativity. And my fiance, I wouldn't say she's a hater, but she's basically inherited this marriage of Transformers being with LPS's fiance. I want to do a review for a non-Transformers fan. Basically, I want to determine, for you guys as well, the audience, my subs, and everybody out there, a review from a non-Transformers fan. She knows Transformers now, but she doesn't know it. And what better way to do it than a target like that? And then we can kind of determine our own review. It's very important to me because of that. One, because my fiance is finally doing the video. And two, I really want to do a review from a non-Transformers fan. And she hasn't really told me too much. I think she should enjoy it, but at the end of the day, and I also want you guys to get to know her because you're my family, and I would like for you guys to meet my family. And this review is very important because of the negativity. I want to make sure that we get both sides of the story because I love you guys so much. And at the end of the day, that's what we do in this community. We take care of each other. So to get my subscribers, I love you so much. Make sure to hit that like button. Again, send more questions, guys. I'll have it posted right down there. Just Sunny, another shout out to you. Send these questions in. I'm gonna be filming it with her on Sunday. Get your name advertised. Show yourself. Get your shout out. Get your question advertised again. And at the end of the day, man, I just want this Transformers community to all come in one because at the end of the day, man, Transformers is my life. It's our life. And it's such a privilege to be able to watch this, especially the way technology is exploding. And I want to make sure I do my part on the LPS network to give you both sides of the story and keep the Transformers alive. So guys, LPS, Last Prime Speculator, peace.